I want to talk about something real quick.
Oh God.
So, I'm more of a game collector and enthusiast than you are. I mean, you can appreciate video games. I'm more of like a collector actively. So, I watch, the prices of things fluctuate. I see shops labeling prices for video games and stuff, and one thing that I just don't understand is like stores that think that they can just throw the most insane prices on something and just think that they could get away with it.
Do people buy it?
I don't see. I'll give you the example that I'm thinking of, or that I'm talking about. I should say. I just recently got an analog pocket, and I got the Game Gear attachment because I always wanted a Game Gear growing up, and I never got one, so I never got to experience the Game Gear as much as I wanted to. So this is me basically like getting to live out this childhood fantasy of owning a Game Gear and playing Game Gear games. Is it gonna go great? Who knows?
Oh boy.
Because the Game Gear apparently is just a big pile of garbage. But
no, you
anyway,
want to try it? It was a missed opportunity. You do it.
Exactly.
Do you.
So
it's going to be expensive because there's not a lot of it.
No, it's really not.
Well, not like expensive as in like hundreds of dollars, but like expensive in relative terms of what other things along those lines were.
So, Shining Force.
Oh, Christ.
So, Shining Force has a game on the Game Gear, and I saw it at a local store. I'm not going to name them. And
local or like your local?
Local.
Okay.
So,
well, I mean, there's your answer.
I saw it there, and I was like, ooh. I knew the price of it, so I was like, I might snag that while I'm here, because I do want to. That is a game that I know I will probably enjoy playing on the Game Gear. So, I walk around, and I'm just kind of browsing. I pick up like one or two of these sports games that I picked up, and I walked up. I said, "Hey, what do you have on Shining Force?" It was almost double the price of what it goes for. So
what was the price and what does it go for?
So I will bring it up right now. So
what did they want?
Well, I'll put it in context here. So Shining Force, the Game Gear, not Final Conflict. Here it is. So Shining Force, Sword of Hadja, loose, which is what it was is on price charting $42.
Find it on eBay.
So here's loose sales from eBay.
Find it on eBay now.
So $50.
Find it on eBay now, bitch.
These are eBay listings right
well,
here.
Then click on one.
It was a sold listing. $50
it?
Is what this person sold it for on December 5th.
I need to see how to spell this. Haja.
So they, it's roughly like $40 to $50 on eBay sold listings. They wanted $75 for it. I asked him the price. He said $75. I looked at him and I was like, huh?
I'll tell you exactly why. I can explain the whole damn thing to you. And it's not going to make you feel any better, but they got that game from somewhere, right?
Sure.
And we know they didn't get it new. It was somebody that went into the store, they had it, they wanted to sell it for whatever reason.
Sure.
So how are they going to decide what that they...
So I've talked to them about their prices because this is not the first game that I've had issue with. They had Turtles in Time marked at like $80 loose when that is not even close.
It's probably about double.
Yeah.
That's because when they pay somebody for these games, they're paying the eBay rates.
No.
They're not?
Mm-mm.
Because that's then nobody should
So
sell
anybody that buys games, they do it by percentages. So if it's more popular, easy to sell stuff, the percentage can go up a little bit. If it's
percentage of what?
what they're going to give them. So, say I'm looking at a $100 game from, somebody that brought it to me and wants to sell it. It's a game that I know I can sell just like that because I know somebody who's already looking for it. So I would be comfortable picking it up 100% making an offer at like 70%. So I'd be 75%.
75% of what you're going to sell it for?
So if it's valued, okay, at $100, I would be comfortable being like, I will pay you $70 or $75 for that game.
So you would sell it for $100.
And then I would sell it as a store for $100. So I get to make profit because that is the purpose of owning a business, is to have that profit margin. So if someone brings me a collection that's worth $30,000, depending on what's in that collection, I will either pay half of what that's worth, or I will pay a little more than half of what it's worth as a business.
So hear me out. If I walk in there to sell, say, MVP 2004, and it's going on eBay for $20, I know it's not, and they want to give me 10, why am I going to give it to them? Because I can get it right then and there and take the $10 hit?
Because you don't have to do the work.
Right. So my point to that is, like, again, with your percentage, you're thinking, they can get $20 on eBay for it. If we give them 15, we can get that inventory, and then we sell it at 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how business works.
Even though it's going on eBay for 20, they sell it at 30 because that's doubling what you paid for it.
So, in terms of finding what things are worth, every collector goes by price charting or eBay sold listings. So that determines the value of that game.
Right.
And what they should market at. So if it's selling on eBay for $50, they should be marking that game at $50. You could even mark it at like $52, $55.
Right.
And no one would really bat an eye.
And somewhere in there,
depending on what it is.
Well, so there is a premium for being able to take it home the same day.
Sure. So if you want to be 55, I'm really not going to argue at 55. Like, if I see it and I'm like, oh, I could buy it for 50, or I could just buy it now for 55, I would be very, like, not even think about it. But when I'm looking at all these listings and it's like, oh, $50, $50, $50, $50, and you have it for $75, I'm not paying the $25 premium just to take it home with me then. I will gladly go to a gaming group on Facebook, an eBay listing, somebody I trust, another game store even, and, try and find the game for the actual reasonable price rather than the $20-some upcharge.
What?
They've done that with a bunch of games where I've asked the price on, like, more, like, premium games, and they've told me the price, and I'm like, that can't be right. And I look it up on price charting or eBay solds, and I'm like, it's to the point where I've asked them, like,
did you buy it?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not.
And this is like the bigger problem that I see here is that people would rather do without the extra money than do without the product.
Like, that's the thing that...
And it's ruining the market.
Yeah, like, if I were to be in the position of, person owning game store, like, you want to have somebody come in your store and have a good experience. That's how people come back. If people are coming in as big collectors or serious collectors and they're seeing these games and they're like, oh, yes, I would love to pick up Ocarina of Time CIB. Like, yeah. What's your price on it? And they're like, oh, it's $600, and it's like a $300 game, and you're just like, the fuck?
So this is the same, like, it's the same thing. Take, for example, soda. What do you pay for a 6-pack of Coke or any soda at the store?
I have no
Like
idea.
a Giant.
I don't buy
I think it's like $5.99, like $6. So
Mhm.
it's like $1 each. Yet you go into any gas station and it's $1.89 or $2.19.
Yeah.
You know, it's double in the gas station because of the convenience. Because you want it when you're at the gas station. Like, you want a fucking soda now.
Yeah.
You're willing to pay that extra $1 to get it. Okay, that's fine. In the case of games, I don't think you can really like do that kind of a pitch,
So,
but they do.
I don't have a problem with doing a little bit of an upcharge. Like, that's not an issue. But it can't be that big of an upcharge. Unless you're talking premium titles.
So, general business practice markup should be at least a 50% profit margin to cover overhead.
Yeah,
and
which is
grow.
why most of the time, like, you're looking at about 50%. But if you're taking a box of games and they are all just easy sells, good quality games, you're gonna get a little more than 50%.
I mean, the point that you're getting at here is that businesses are getting greedy as shit.
Some, yes, 100%.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Arizona Iced Tea's been 99 cents forever, and their CEO is just like, we own everything.
Yeah.
Why am I going to raise prices just to screw people?
Mm-hmm.
Where you have other industries where it's like, fuck it, raise it by $300. They'll pay
Yeah.
it. What are they going to do? It's literally racketeering, and I mean, everyone's crying inflation. The funny thing about inflation is profits typically don't change during a period of true inflation.
Yeah.
So we see companies like Starbucks, which is a commodity, by the way. You know, nobody needs gourmet coffee.
It's not even that good a coffee.
And, well, that's neither here nor there. Their profit margins are through the fucking roof this year.
It's like if you go to breakfast. Like, if you go to a diner.
That was for you.
And they're charging $15 for a simple breakfast.
Yeah.
It does not cost them anywhere close to $15 to make that breakfast.
But you're right. But the point there is that if you see a diner in particular, they're typically, you know, local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
If they're charging $15 for breakfast, I'm saying, what happened to your lease?
Yeah.
Or, you know, in the case of a diner, we've seen eggs go up recently. I could see, you know, like, let's say eggs go up $2 a dozen. I could arguably see a diner increasing prices by $4 for every dozen eggs they use to include the profit margin in that.
Yeah.
Which, again, when you start to stack these wholesale costs, like this cost of goods sold, they call it COGS, and then you stack your same profit margin on top of it, it's exponential growth, because for every dollar that your cost grows, you then have to sell it for $2 more to assume that dollar plus the dollar of margin.
Yeah. You know, when you're talking about grocery stores and like stuff like that, like it doesn't even relate to like a collectible market, because you have like pretty much these set values that I guess everybody's just come to agree, like, this is what we will pay for game. We go higher. We hear.
The only thing that changes between grocery stores and collectible games or collectible anything, honestly, the only thing that change, even like, let's take it to Walmart. They sell everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Some shit is going to have like a 600% markup.
Yeah.
Like alcohol, the markup is just absurd.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to walk into a game store, see this game, and it's a $5 game. They're not going to try and sell it for $20. You have people on Marketplace that try and sell these things for $20 in lots because they're absolutely insane, because they think video games are just gold at this point. But I don't even remember what the original point or question or whatever that I made, but I think that
you're just saying they're selling it for too much.
Yeah, like, you have, like, as a store, like, you have to look at that and be like, that's a little much. Like,
no, yeah. And
because the thing about it is enough times of somebody coming in and asking for the price of the game behind the counter or underneath the glass, they already know, like, okay, I know the boxed Super Mario is, X, $120, just as an example. It's probably not the price, but you get the point.
no, I get it.
So I already know it's probably going to be from either $100 to $120. The minute they say it's $170, I'm already like,
Right.
are you serious? Because you have to understand, as a store, like, you are providing a service to the customer of allowing them to come into your store as an experience, walk your store, admire the things that they can't buy, admire the things that they may not be into, but they can still appreciate because it's part of their nerd culture. And you are going in there mostly for a reason, maybe sometimes not, but sometimes you're in there, you're just like, I'm really hoping they have this game.
So,
And you already know what your pretty much roundabout spending is.
right.
And you could go a little higher, you could go a little lower. But the minute you get soured by that much of a difference in price, that will make or break that person's experience in that store, which is not what you want to be doing.
Price is dictated, simply put, by supply,
Mm-hmm.
demand, cost of goods sold, because you're not going to have a crazy markup on a $50,000 cost,
Yeah.
and marketing. They're missing the boat from a business perspective, but from a customer perspective, as a businessman, if your customers will pay it, why take anything less? Because you can do the right thing or you can do the greedy thing, and maybe they're doing, they're just erring on one side of that at this current point. But so Shining Force sort of Haja?
Something like that, yeah.
And
Shining Force on the Game Gear.
Okay. And you're looking for it.
Yes.
Stop.
Like,
No, really.
why?
Stop looking for it.
Why?
Merry Christmas.
This motherfucker. I knew you needed to see that for a fucking reason, you dirty bastard. Thank you, I guess. But
I don't know when it'll be here, but I'll give it to you on air. So spread the holiday cheer.
yeah, like, when it comes to being in a business and owning a business.
And I did not pay $70 for it. But go on.
When it comes to owning a business, especially a game store that you're not only providing a service, but you're providing an experience for that, you need to have your morals and everything just be on the side of good. Because the more relationships you have, the better experiences that you provide, and the quality of that service will dictate how much you succeed. Now, there's not a ton of competition game store-wise in our area. However,
There's none.
However, you're not only competing with other stores, you're competing with the fucking internet.
That wasn't a thing before. I mean, that's a harder thing to do. And in most cases, like, the internet genuinely, like, I don't know how else to say it. Look at Toys R Us.
Yeah, like, look at any brick and mortar store competing with the internet. You either succeed or you don't. There's no, like, you only can, like, stop the bleeding for so long.
There are only certain products that make sense in a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And those are things where you can do impulse, immediate need, or you simply can't, like, ship them efficiently.
Yeah.
I don't think games fall into any of that category other than, like, the consignment approach that they're trying to take, but they're warping that even. I mean, at this point, it's like, just press stop. Sorry. I mean, maybe we can do a video. I'll go in there and confront them about it, but
and the thing about it is, it's a bigger store, so you can't sit there and negotiate. There is no, like, they're just employees. They don't really have...
The only reason they can't negotiate is because they won't.
Pretty much, yeah.
They're still a small business.
But, you know, when I go to a game store that's much further away, there is that give and take, because I've built a relationship with them. I go in, they know who I am. When I'm buying certain things, like if I'm buying a higher dollar, you know, when I bought Super Mario Brothers CIB for the NES, I went in there probably 3 weeks in a row because I used to pass their old location going to one of my dealerships. So I'd always stop in for like 10, 15 minutes, shoot the shit, take a look. And I would look at it and I'm like, man, I'd love to have that in my collection. What'd you have it at? I'll give you this for it. And they're like, nah, I can't go there, can't go that low. And I'm like, cash money, I'm ready for you. And they're like, nah, I can't do it. So I would leave. I would come back the next week, do the same thing. Nah, I can't do it, can't go that low. Third week, I went in. Look, man, my offer still stands. He's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. I'm like, hell yeah.
So here's...
That, not only did that provide a service for me, because I wanted that game, it provided that experience of, like, the back and forth where it wasn't just a, no, man, I'm not doing it. It was like, nah, I can't do it, man. Like, as much as I would love to, like, I just can't do it.
Well, most
and then
people don't like that.
Eventually they do it, and it's like this fun back and forth, and you, like, there was so much more to it than just trying to buy the game. And now, like, if it wasn't so far away for me to go, that would be my go-to place. I have my gripes with that store, you know, but
most people can't stand the haggle, though.
Yeah, that's the dude. Marketplace is.
Let me put
don't
this
even
out
get me
there.
started.
Well, Marketplace is just unhinged. If I were the store that we were talking about, not the one that you like,
sure, I like both of them. Don't get me wrong.
I don't.
The other one, the one that we're talking about, it like I have way more gripes with that than the other.
If you were smart and understood your customers, not you, but them.
Sure, yeah.
I would, in fact, build in an additional 5 to 10% of markup on my sticker price so that my customer service reps or my sales guys or whatever you want to call the guys behind the counter can say, as soon as somebody's interested in it, well, it typically goes for $90, but I could probably get it to you for $80. And what you're doing there is, one, you've already built in that hit.
Exactly.
Two, you're presenting it as a discount to the customer, which makes the customer feel warm and fuzzy, builds trust, even if it's not true trust. And it is. I mean, you know, you're thinking about them ahead of time.
Yeah.
That builds rapport. That builds camaraderie. That builds word of mouth, where people are like, yeah, man, I got a great deal on this at this place.
That is what matters, man. Like,
yeah, bringing them back.
Where, like, if you're looking at the smaller stuff, they're pretty much right on par. But when you start getting into, like, these, you know, $50 to, you know, couple $100 games, their markups are just insane.
Well, tell me more about how they price graded games, LJ.
Not touching that one, but yeah, like, no matter what the game is, like, you can get away with a bigger markup with, you know, a more expensive game, because if you're looking at a $50 markup or even a $100 markup,
well, fixed value markup, bigger fixed value, not
so
bigger.
If it's a $200 game and you have it for $300, most of that difference is probably coming in with condition.
Sure.
If it's a more minty condition, I will gladly pay the extra, you know, money to have that high dollar game as clean as possible. But if I'm looking at a $50 game and you're trying to mark it up $20, it's not the same.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
I'm not buying that for condition. I'm buying that because I want it in my collection.
So you sell the $300 game maybe once a month, once every couple weeks.
Probably more often as a store because you probably have a rapport with heavier collectors and stuff like that.
But to my point, how often do you sell the $5 game that's marked up $1?
All day long.
So,
but that even says if I'm coming in and I'm looking at $40 games, $50 games, chances are I'm probably going to buy more than one.
So if I just hear me out on this one, if I sell 500 of these $5 games with $1 markup in the week, how much have I actually profited off of that? $500, right?
Yeah.
And then I sell one of those $300 games at $100 markup every 2 weeks. That's $100 every 2 weeks versus $500 a week.
That's what I'm saying.
Kind of makes sense to go after the volume instead of the big win.
If you're putting your games at the actual values that they are, and you're pretty much on par with price charting and eBay, you're going to make more sales.
You're going to get in trouble. TLDR, game stores, please price responsibly. Don't gouge people.
Yeah, because you're like, if I'm just starting out collecting and I have my eye on a couple of my more nostalgia heavy games and they're at that $50 mark, if I have $200, just straight $200, and I'm looking at 4 games that are like $40 to $50, I'm like, all right, maybe I could pick up all 4 of these. But if I walk into your store and you have them marked up $20 each, you're decreasing the amount of games that I could actually buy, and you're also decreasing the amount of sales that you're going to make that day. If I could have had them for price charting value, I would have bought all 4 right off the rip, no questions asked, because I was going in expecting that. But if I go in expecting that, and then you have them that much marked up,
well,
then not only are you missing out on the sales, maybe you're missing out on all the sales completely because you've already soured my experience.
And here's the thing, too. It's not just game stores. Consumers need to understand the value of what they're buying.
Well, yeah.
And make a very careful choice about whether you take that financial hit just to have it same day, because a lot of places can ship within 1 to 2 days.
Yeah, that's another issue for another time.
Yes. Well, especially another time.
Yeah.